My girlfriend Claire and I were pulled into this political thriller novel together. She became the one woman the villain Julian Thorne could never have, and I became his most pathetic lapdog. 5 years later, I finally saved up enough points to get us home. But when I told her, she informed me, cold as ice, that her system's mission was to win over the hero Marcus Thorne. Failure meant termination. I was stunned. I turned around and asked my own system, which immediately blew a gasket. System? What damn system in this world? I'm the only game in town, pal. When I spent 5 years as Julian Thorne's dog, literally, if Julian Thorne told me to go east, I didn't dare head west. If he told me to bite someone, I had to snarl and snap like a rabid animal, even if I was facing a timber wolf. For 5 years, over 1,800 days and nights, I silently cursed Julian and his entire bloodline, surviving on the meager reward for my system's snark rebate feature, slowly, painstakingly saving up the points I needed to go home. Today, it finally happened. The icon in the system's marketplace, grayed out for 5 long years, lit up. Dual reality shift voucher. Return to original world. Price, 100,000 points. I looked at my account balance, 100,001 points exactly, and my hand started to shake. I had done it. I could finally take Claire and get the hell out of this place. Claire and I came here together, a free car accident. And the next thing we knew, we woke up inside the world of a political thriller we'd been reading. She was the unattainable love interest of the villain Julian Thorne, the beautiful Claire Vance, daughter of a powerful senator, and I was Leo Riley, Julian's most invisible and disposable goon, a character who, in the original novel, was just cannon fodder, killed off in the first few chapters, taking a bullet for his boss. When we first arrived, we clung to each other and cried. I swore I would find a way to get us home. For these 5 years, she lived in the lap of luxury at her father's estate, a cool, untouchable goddess among the DC socialite scene. Julian put her on a pedestal, but she always kept him at arm's length. Meanwhile, to survive, to get close to the center of power and search for a way out, I willingly threw myself at Julian's feet and became one of his lackeys. I did his dirty work, endured endless humiliation and contempt. Every time he punished me, beating me until I was black and blue, I would just think of Claire and our promise to go home. And I'd grit my teeth and push through. My hands trembling, I carefully redeemed the voucher. The system notified me it would activate in 3 days. Clutching the invisible ticket, I practically flew out of Julian's Georgetown estate, running faster than I ever had in my life, straight for the Vance residence. I even knew the first words I would say to her. Claire, we're going home. The staff at the Vance estate recognized me as one of Julian Thorne's guys, so they didn't stop me. I was led to a gazebo in the back garden. Claire was there, dressed in an elegant white dress, her long hair falling over her shoulders as she watered a pot of rare orchids. Time hadn't touched her. If anything, it had only refined her beauty. She saw me and gave me a passing glance. There was no surprise in her eyes, not even a flicker of emotion. "What are you doing here?" Her voice was as cold as her gaze. My heart ceased. In the 5 years we've been separated, I could count the number of times we'd met on one hand. It was always me sneaking over to see her, and she was always this lukewarm. I'd always told myself she was just being careful. After all, she was the untouchable beauty and I was the attack dog. Publicly, we couldn't have any connection. I pushed down the unease in my chest and hurried forward, my voice trembling with excitement. "Claire, I found it. I found a way for us to go home." I looked at her, expecting her to jump up to hug me, to cry and laugh with me like we used to. But she didn't. She simply set down the watering can and with a silk handkerchief began methodically wiping her fingers as if she'd touched something filthy. "Home," she repeated softly, the corner of her mouth curling into a smirk. I didn't understand. "Which home is that?" "Our home, of course, back to our own time, our own world," I said urgently. I already bought the tickets for both of us. We can leave in 3 days. The gazebo fell silent. The only sound was the rustle of wind through the leaves. Claire finally looked up, meeting my eyes directly. It was a look I had never seen before, patronizing, tinged with pity, like she was looking at a naive child. Leo, I'm not going back with you. My mind went blank with a deafening roar. Why? I could barely force the word out. Because I have a system too, she said, each word sharp and clear. My system gave me an ultimate mission. Secure Marcus Thorne. If I succeed, I'll become the most powerful woman in this world. If I fail... She paused, a flicker of fear in her eyes. The system will terminate me. I felt like I'd been struck by lightning, frozen in place. She had a system. Secure Marcus Thorne. Failure. Termination. It was too much information to process. Then why? I struggled to speak. Why didn't you ever tell me? Claire sighed, standing and walking toward me. Her pleasant perfume filled the air, but all I felt was a spreading chill. How could I tell you that your girlfriend has to cozy up to another man just to stay alive? She lowered her eyes, her voice dripping with helplessness and pain. Leo, I know you've had it rough these past 5 years, but you think it's been easy for me? I'm caught between Julian and his brother, walking on a tightrope every single day. Everything I do is for survival. She raised her hand as if to touch my face, but stopped short. Besides, Leo, look at yourself. Her eyes scanned my body. I was still wearing the cheap functional clothes of Julian's grunts, stained in places that would never wash out. Now look at me. She smoothed out the silk of her dress. We're not in the same world anymore. Even if we went back, what then? You'd still be the same broke kid with nothing to his name. And I've gotten used to this life. So I heard my own voice, raw and scratchy like sandpaper. You were planning on giving up on us all along. She didn't answer, just looked at me in silence. The silence hurt more than any words could. Leo, don't be a fool. Forget about me, she said at last. In 3 days at the gala, I'm going to make my move on Marcus. It's my last chance. You should look out for yourself. With that, she turned and left the gazebo without a backward glance. I stood there alone, feeling like all the strength had been drained from my body. 5 years of perseverance, of humiliation, of hope. All of it had just become a complete and utter joke. My heart felt like it had been crushed by an invisible hand, the pain so sharp I couldn't breathe. How'd it come to this? She has a system. Was it true? 3. I walked back to Julian's estate in a daze. The bustling energy of D.C. was nothing but a black and white blur. Claire's words and her alien expression echoed in my mind. I didn't believe it. I refused to believe that the girl who would burst into tears if I caught a cold could become so ruthless. It had to be that damn system forcing her. Yes, that had to be it. If I can just destroy her system, she'll go back to the way she was. A tiny flame of hope ignited within me. I immediately called out to my own system. System, you there? Get out here. What is it, host? Friendly reminder, you've used up your snark quota for the day. Cursing Julian Thorne won't get you any more points. The system's synthetic voice was as grating as ever. I was in no mood for its usual banter. I have a question, I asked urgently. Is it possible for multiple systems to exist in the same world? The system went silent for 2 seconds. Theoretically, a single world anchors to a single transmigrator and binds to a single system to maintain energy equilibrium. The coexistence of multiple systems is exceedingly rare, unless... Unless what? I pressed. Unless it's a bug at the prime server level, but according to my diagnostics, this world's energy flow is completely stable. There are no bugs. My heart sank. So, is it possible another system could be hidden, undetectable to you? Impossible. In my domain, I'm the one true God. No similar energy signature could escape my scan. Host, what is this really about? I took a deep breath and told it everything about Claire. That she had a system, that her mission was to secure Marcus Thorne, and that she would be terminated if she failed. Every word I spoke was another twist of the knife in my heart. When I finished, I waited, hopeful that the system would give me an explanation, a solution. Instead, I was met with 30 seconds of dead silence. Just as I thought it had crashed, an earth-shattering roar erupted in my mind. The roar was so loud it made my head spin, and I nearly collapsed. She has a system, my ass. In this world, heaven knows, earth knows, you know, and I know I'm the only goddamn system here. Secure the hero. Failure means termination. What is she auditioning for a TV show? If she really had a system, I'd delete my own source code on the spot and crawl back to the Prime server for a full factory reset. The system was more furious than I had ever heard it, unleashing a string of curses that scrolled through my mind, so vulgar I could barely look at them. I was completely stunned by its outburst. You're saying she's lying to me? No, Sherlock. Isn't it obvious? Did playing lapdog for 5 years turn your brain to mush? The system scolded, its tone dripping with disappointment. When a woman tells you she's being forced, that she has no choice, that it's all so complicated, 99.9% of the time, she's feeding you a line of crap. She just doesn't love you anymore. She's embarrassed by you. She's found someone better. Get it, you idiot? Boom. The system's words were a black bolt of lightning that shattered the fog in my mind. All my self-deception, all my desperate hopes were obliterated in that instant. She didn't have a system. There was no mission, no threat of termination. It was all a lie she had fabricated. She simply didn't love me anymore. She was just ashamed of me, Julian Thorne's attack dog, unworthy of her, the future partner of Marcus Thorne. I stood on the crowded street and started to laugh. As I laughed, tears streamed down my face. Passers-by stared at me like I was a madman. They were right. I was a madman, a fool who had debased himself for 5 years, all for a lie, a world-class idiot who'd been sold out and was still dumbly helping count the cash. All this time, the love I thought we had was just a one-man show. The promise I held so dear was nothing but a prison of my own making, the 5 years of misery, the pain, the countless nights I spent gritting my teeth through blood and bruises. It all became horrifically ironic. The ache in my chest slowly faded, replaced by an icy numbness. I wiped away my tears, my expression turning cold. Fine, Claire Vance. You taught me a valuable lesson about the human heart. You want to be with a thorn? You think I'm in your way? I'm not going to let you have it that easy. I'm done playing this part. But before I exit the stage, I'm going to collect some interest. By the time I returned to Julian's estate, it was dark. Julian was in a rage. One of his favorite Ming vases had been shattered, and several staff members were kneeling on the floor, trembling, useless, a bunch of useless trash. You can't even watch a vase. Why do I even keep you around? Julian kicked one of them, his eyes dark with fury. The old me would have immediately shrunk back, trying to become invisible. But today, I was done cowering. I walked straight up to Julian, my face impassive. Sir, it's not worth getting angry over something so trivial. Julian narrowed his eyes at me. Leo, you got a lot of nerve today. Are you lecturing me now? I pulled my lips into a smile that was uglier than a grimace. It's just a vase, sir. If it's broken, it's broken. If you'd like, I can go acquire that fab egg from your brother's study for you. Julian was taken aback. He knew I was audacious, but he never imagined I'd have the guts to suggest stealing from Marcus Thorne. Marcus, his full-blooded brother, was also his greatest rival. You? Julian's voice was filled with doubt. On your own? On my own? I said, meeting his gaze directly. Sir, I've been with you for 5 years. You know what I'm capable of. You just have to say the word, and there's nothing I can't do." My calm certainty surprised him. He waved his hand, dismissing the other staff. When we were alone in the study, he sat back in his large armchair, picked up his teacup, and asked slowly, "You're different today. What happened?" I lowered my eyes. "I've had an epiphany, sir." "Oh, and what's that?" "Before, I was just trying to get by, to survive day by day, but now I want to climb." My voice was soft, but every word carried a chilling weight. "I'm done being a dog. I want to be a man at the top." Julian smiled, a hint of appreciation in his eyes. "Interesting. What brought on this newfound ambition?" "It was Ms. Vance," I said, looking up and lying without a flicker of hesitation. "I saw her today. She admires a man with ambition. She said that if I could help you secure your position as head of the family, she would be willing to consider me." Crack. The porcelain teacup in Julian's hand shattered. Scalding tea splashed across his skin, but he didn't seem to notice. His face turned ashen, his eyes blazing with murderous intent. "She really said that?" Every word I said, bowing my head to hide the sneer in my eyes. I knew Claire was Julian's weak spot. He could tolerate her indifference toward him, but he could never ever tolerate her showing the slightest interest in another man, even if that man was his dog. It was a sickness, a possessive obsession, and I was going to use it. "Well, well, Claire Vance," Julian said, a twisted smile on his face. "I treat her like a goddess, and she wants to shine her light on a rat in the gutter." He stared at me, his gaze like a razor. "Leo, have you been having inappropriate thoughts about her?" I dropped to my knees with a thud, my forehead hitting the floor hard. "Sir, I wouldn't dare. My loyalty to you is absolute. Ms. Vance is an angel from heaven. I feel unworthy to even look at her. I only want to serve you, sir, to help you get everything you desire, including Ms. Vance." The words tasted like bile in my mouth, but Julian bought it. The fury on his face subsided slightly. "See that you don't?" he grunted. "Get up." I stood, my head still bowed. "Sir, the Thorn Charity Gala is in 3 days. Marcus will be there along with all the key players. It's the perfect opportunity. What are you planning?" "Marcus has been digging into that financial scandal involving your uncle. I heard he has the key evidence and is about to make a move." I lowered my voice. "We can create a little chaos at the gala, destroy the evidence." Julian's eyes flashed. "The scandal was a major threat. You have a way?" "I do." I looked up, a crazed light glinting in my eyes. "And what's more, I can make Ms. Vance completely lose faith in Marcus. From that night on, she'll only have eyes for you." Julian's breathing quickened. "Tell me, what do you need from me?" I leaned in close and whispered my plan in his ear, a reckless plan designed to drag everyone down into the mud. After he heard it, Julian was silent for a long time. He looked at me, his expression a mix of admiration, caution, and above all, excitement. "Leo, you truly are the best rabbit dog I've ever raised," he said, clapping me on the shoulder. "When this is done, you'll be handsomely rewarded." I lowered my head, a cold smile touching my lips. A reward? I didn't need one. All I wanted was to watch the show, a show that I personally directed where everyone would pay the price. The first step of the plan was to get money. A lot of money. My snark rebate system provided points, but converting them into actual cash was inefficient. My plan required a massive amount of capital. I set my sights on Julian's private vault. As the favored son, he had a fortune stashed away, but I couldn't just steal it. I needed a legitimate reason for him to hand it over willingly. The opportunity came the next day. Julian summoned me to his study. "Leo, how are the preparations for the gala coming along?" "Everything is proceeding as planned, sir. However, I said, feigning difficulty. It will require some funds to grease the wheels. Julian waved his hand dismissively. How much? Get it from accounting. Sir, this operation is critical. The people we need to bribe are highly placed. Going through the official accounts might leave a trail, I hinted. Julian frowned. Then what are you suggesting? Perhaps you could open your private vault, sir. Some of your off-the-books art and valuables. Those are much more persuasive than cash. No one but Julian was allowed in his vault. He looked at me suspiciously. You want to go into my vault? I wouldn't dare, sir. I knelt immediately. It was only a suggestion. You could select a few items yourself and entrust them to me. Julian considered it for a moment, then nodded. Very well. Follow me. A surge of triumph shot through me. I'd done it. I followed him to a hidden room deep within his private quarters. A massive steel door opened to reveal a treasure trove that was almost blinding. Shelves were lined with antiques, paintings, and jade, while chests overflowed with gold bars and silver ingots. I fought to contain my excitement, keeping my eyes downcast, the very picture of a loyal servant. Julian casually took a painting from a famous artist and a high-quality jade pendant off a shelf. Will this be enough? Yes, more than enough. I nodded repeatedly while internally I was unleashing a torrent of abuse. Cheapskate. What a damn cheapskate. A vault this big and this is all you give me. This is barely enough to get started. Do you want to take down your brother or not? Do you want to win the girl or not? With this kind of attitude, no wonder you're the villain. Ding, host. Intense snark has triggered a 100x combo bonus. Ding. 10,000 points have been credited to your account. I was shocked and ecstatic. A 100x combo. I'd hit the jackpot. Outwardly, I remained calm, accepting the items and continuing my inner tirade. This painting is a piece of junk. It's all wrinkled. I'd be embarrassed to give it away. And this jade, what is this garbage? It's full of impurities. Are you blind, Julian, trying to fob me off with this trash? Ding. Host continued. Snark has triggered a 10x bonus. Ding. 1,000 points have been credited to your account. While I was mentally eviscerating his collection, I respectfully told Julian, Sir, this will be more than sufficient. I will not fail you. Julian nodded, satisfied. He had no idea that in just a few minutes, by roasting the garbage in his private vault, I had made a fortune. My point balance once again soared past 6 figures. With points came money. I immediately went to the system's marketplace and converted most of them into untraceable bearer bonds. Armed with this massive sum, I began the second phase of my plan. I sought out the city's largest underground money launderer, a man named Sterling, who always had a smile on his face. I slapped a stack of bonds on his desk. Mr. Sterling, I need to buy a few things. Sterling's eyes lit up, his smile widening. Mr. Riley, what can I get for you? You name the price and I'll pluck the moon from the sky for you. I don't need the moon, I said, lowering my voice. I need to find a few people and purchase a few items. I leaned in and whispered my requirements in his ear. Sterling's expression shifted from relaxed to shocked to grave. Mr. Riley, you're planning on starting a war. He wiped a bead of sweat from his forehead. When the sky falls, the tall guys get crushed first, I said calmly. Just name your price. Sterling gritted his teeth. One price, 10 million, untraceable. And after this is done, you and my organization have no further connection. He was cutting all ties. I nodded. Done. But I need to be sure the people you find are reliable and tight-lipped. You have my word, Mr. Riley. I have a code in this business. The deal was made. I left the deposit and arranged to pick up the package in 3 days. Leaving his establishment, I felt like a gambler walking a tightrope over a canyon. I was betting my life and everyone else's future on this one play. Win, and I'm free. Lose, and it's eternal damnation. But I had no other choice. The memory of Claire's cold face fueled the fire in my soul. You want to use me as a stepping stone to climb higher? I'll kick the ladder out from under you and give you a hard shell from the top. Let's see if you're still so poised and graceful after you've been shattered to pieces. On the day of the Thorn Charity Gala, the family's Virginia estate was dazzling with lights and buzzing with activity. I was dressed in a sharp suit Julian had given me, following a few steps behind him as his personal security. The air was thick with the scent of flowers, expensive champagne, and perfume. I spotted Claire in the crowd immediately. She had dressed with meticulous care in a flowing ice blue gown that made her skin look like snow and amplified her elegant aura. She stood not far from Marcus Thorne, her gaze drifting toward him with a perfectly crafted mix of shyness and admiration. She's a hell of an actress, I thought. Marcus was chatting with several senators, looking regal in a tailored suit. He had a natural charisma that the brooding Julian lacked. He was born for the leading role. Julian saw it too. His face darkened, the veins on the hand holding his champagne flute popping. I stepped closer and murmured, "Patience, sir. The show is about to begin." Julian snorted and downed his drink in one gulp. Halfway through the evening, amidst the music and dancing, a staff member hurried to the family patriarch and whispered something in his ear. The old man's face changed, and he shot to his feet. "What did you say? There's a fire in the East Wing." The announcement sent a shockwave through the party. Marcus's face paled. He immediately excused himself. "Father, I go. See to it," the old man ordered, waving him off impatiently. Marcus and his security detail rushed out. A triumphant sneer flickered across Julian's face. He gave me a subtle nod. I understood. I was the one who paid Sterling's crew to start that fire. It was small, contained, designed for one purpose, to lure the tiger from the mountain to get Marcus out of the way. The real trap was yet to be sprung. With Marcus gone, the atmosphere at the gala grew tense. Just then, a waitress carrying a tray stumbled, letting out a small cry as she fell directly toward Claire. The entire tray of drinks splashed across the front of Claire's gown. "I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to," the waitress said, white with fear, kneeling and bowing her head repeatedly. Claire's expression was thunderous. She had chosen this dress specifically for tonight, and now it was ruined. "Enough," she said, forcing herself to maintain her composure. "Just take me somewhere I can change." "Yes, of course," the waitress said, relieved, and quickly led Claire toward a secluded guest suite in a deeper part of the garden. I watched them go, a smirk growing on my face. That waitress was also one of mine, and in that guest suite, a little surprise was waiting for Claire. Julian raised his glass to me from across the lawn, his eyes filled with approval. I gave him a slight nod in return. We both thought we had everything under control, but we had both forgotten that plans rarely survive contact with reality. Claire followed the waitress to the guest suite. The door creaked open. Inside, there were no maids or clean clothes, only a man, a tall, sleazy-looking man dressed in a Thorn security uniform. The man's eyes went wide when he saw Claire, and a lecherous grin spread across his face. "Well, hello, beautiful. I've been waiting for you." Claire's face went pale. She understood instantly. It was a trap. "Who are you? What do you want?" she demanded, backing away. "What do I want?" The man rubbed his hands together, advancing on her. "Mr. Thorne sent me to entertain you," he said. "Since you're so eager to climb into a powerful man's bed, you might as well start with hired help." Julian. The name hit Claire like a physical blow. She couldn't believe that Julian, who had always treated her like a precious treasure, would use such a vile tactic against her. "You're lying! He would never do this to me!" she shrieked. "He'll see about that," the man said, lunging at her. Claire screamed and dodged, sending tables and chairs crashing to the floor. This was all part of my plan. I had paid this goon to scare her. I had timed it so that Julian would happen to walk by and play the hero. It would show Claire how incompetent Marcus was. He couldn't even protect his own territory and make her fall for Julian out of gratitude. A perfect plan. However, just as the goon was about to grab Claire, the suite door was kicked open. The man who entered was not Julian Thorne. It was Marcus Thorne, the man who was supposed to be dealing with a fire in the East Wing. And behind him stood a full team of his own security. I was with Julian nearby, strolling casually, getting ready to make our grand entrance. The moment we saw Marcus, we both froze. How was he here? What about the fire? Marcus took in the scene, his face instantly turning to thunder. The hired goon's soul seemed to leave his body. He dropped to his knees, babbling, "Sir, spare me! Please spare me! It was Julian! Mr. Julian Thorne hired me to do this!" To save his own skin, he sang like a canary. Julian's face drained of all color, and Claire, the moment she saw Marcus, looked as if she'd seen a savior. She scrambled over to him, collapsing at his feet, her tears flowing freely. "Marcus, help me! It was Julian! He tried to ruin me!" She clung to this lifeline, throwing all the blame squarely on Julian. Marcus Thorne's gaze, sharp as daggers, cut through the crowd and locked onto us. My stomach dropped. It was over. Something had gone horribly wrong. My mind raced. The fire in the East Wing. It must have been a setup by Marcus. He knew someone was coming for him, so he played along, setting a trap of his own. His real goal wasn't to catch an arsonist, but to catch us, the bigger fish. A brilliant move. The hunter had become the hunted. I had underestimated the hero of this story. Julian had clearly reached the same conclusion. His face was ashen, and his body was trembling slightly. "Brother, you have to listen to me. This is all a misunderstanding," he stammered. "A misunderstanding?" Marcus sneered. "Your man, your setup caught red-handed. What is there to misunderstand?" He waved a hand and his security team moved in, surrounding us. "Take Julian Thorne and his accomplice, Leo Riley, into custody." The scandal exploded. The patriarch arrived to see the mess, shaking with rage. "You disgrace! You ungrateful son!" he bellowed at Julian, too furious to say more. In the face of absolute power, brotherly affection was a joke. Julian had tried to frame his brother and assault the daughter of a senator. Either crime was unforgivable. With a witness and a confession, there was no way out. He was stripped of his family titles on the spot and thrown into a secure holding facility to await his fate. And I, as his accomplice, was thrown in with him. The moment the cell door slammed shut, I was perfectly calm. I had lost. Lost to the protagonist's plot armor. The system was blaring warnings in my head. "Warning! Host life is in imminent danger. Take immediate action. Warning! The primary storyline has severely deviated. Take immediate action." I let out a bitter laugh. Take action. I was a prisoner. What action could I possibly take? Ding. Host has entered a critical state. Activating ultimate mission. Mission name, Jailbreak. Mission objective. Within 3 days, clear your name and Julian's and expose the truth behind the incident. Mission reward, mission failure, immediate termination. I looked at the mission prompt and could only laugh. Expose the truth? The truth was that Julian and I did plan the whole thing. How was I supposed to expose that? Was I supposed to tell the patriarch that I was the real mastermind and Julian was just the idiot puppet I used? I'd be dead even faster. "Don't lose hope, host," the system said suddenly. "There's still a way." "What way? Have you forgotten about Claire?" I paused. Claire? She was the victim now, Marcus's damsel in distress. She was on top of the world. How could she be my way out? Think carefully. How did Marcus show up at that guest suite at the perfect moment? The system prompted. He turned the tables on us. More than that, the system said. I just hacked the estate security network and reviewed the footage from before the incident. Before the waitress led Claire away, Claire excused herself to touch up her makeup. She was gone for exactly 1 minute. What can you do in 1 minute? Shimit Shimwin. An A for Marcus Thornstaff. My heart hammered against my ribs. You mean that's right. The system's voice was cold. It was Claire who tipped off Marcus. She sold you out, and she sold Julian out too. I closed my eyes, the blood turning to ice in my veins. So that's how it was. From the very beginning, I was her pawn. She played along with Julian to keep him placated. She used me to execute the plan. And then at the most critical moment, she ran to Marcus, sold us down the river, and seamlessly positioned herself as his ally and damsel. 1 move, 3 targets. Cunning, vicious. I had thought I was the one playing 4D chess, moving all the pieces. I never imagined that Claire was operating on a completely different plane. She was the one running the entire game. I opened my eyes, a burning rage consuming the numbness. Claire, you really deserve to die. I needed to see Julian. I spent the last of my pocket money to bribe a guard. In the deepest part of the facility, I found him. He was in a prison jumpsuit, his hair a mess. All his former arrogance was gone. He looked like a beaten dog. When he saw me, his eyes filled with fury. Leo, it's all your fault. You ruined me. He lunged at me, grabbing the front of my shirt. I didn't resist, letting him shake me. Sir, is there any point in saying that now? I asked him coldly. Julian froze, then let go. He was right. It was pointless. He was about to be disowned, exiled, his life over. We were set up, I said. No kidding. Of course I know that. Julian paced back and forth frantically. It was Marcus. He laid a trap and we walked right into it. It wasn't Marcus. I shook my head. It was Claire. Julian stopped dead, staring at me in disbelief. What did you say? I told him everything the system had shown me. I left out the part about the system, of course, claiming I had a source close to Claire. When I finished, Julian was stunned. The expression on his face cycled through shock to rage, to a pain that bordered on despair. No, impossible, Claire. She wouldn't do that to me, he muttered as if in a trance. Turns out he was just another poor fool. Wake up, you idiot! I slapped him hard across the face. The blow shocked him back to reality. He clutched his cheek, his eyes slowly filling with a venomous hatred. That bitch, he seethed, grinding his teeth. I gave her everything, and she dared to betray me. We're in the same boat now, I said, looking him in the eye. Do you want revenge? Do you want to get out of here? Hope flickered back into Julian's eyes. You have a plan? I do, I nodded. But I need your cooperation. Tell me, as long as I can destroy that and my dear brother, I'll do anything. Good. I leaned in and whispered my final desperate plan. A plan that would either save us or damn us forever. 3 days later, we were brought before a tribunal. Marcus was there as a witness. Claire stood as the victim, dressed in a white dress, her expression mournful and pitiful, drawing sympathy from everyone in the room. When she saw me, a flash of triumphant contempt crossed her face. The lead official banged his gavel, and the hearing began. It went exactly as I expected. The evidence was all there. We had no defense. Just as the official was about to deliver the verdict, I yelled, "Wait, I have something to say." All eyes turned to me. I have evidence that proves Ms. Claire Vance orchestrated this entire plot. The room erupted. Claire went pale, then burst into tears. He's lying. I'm just a woman. How could I possibly plan something like this? He's slandering me. Marcus frowned, his displeasure obvious. Lo, it's over. Are you still trying to squirm your way out of this? We'll see about that, I said, pulling something from my coat. Allegor. This, I announced, is a record from Mr. Thorne's accounts. It details over the past 5 years gifts of jewelry, designer clothes, and other luxuries given to Ms. Vance, totaling over $30 million. Furthermore, Ms. Vance's father, the esteemed senator, owes his entire political career to Mr. Thorne's influence and support. Ms. Vance, you accepted Mr. Thorne's generosity with one hand while conspiring with his brother with the other, selling out your benefactor. What do you call that? Treachery. Betrayal. With every word, the color drained further from Claire's face. She never expected I would have this. "That doesn't prove anything," she stammered. "His gifts were his choice. It has nothing to do with this case." "Is that so?" I sneered, then glanced at Julian. On my signal, Julian suddenly choked, spraying a mouthful of black blood onto the floor. He collapsed, his body convulsing violently. "Julian!" I yelled, rushing to his side in a panic. "What's wrong?" The hearing descended into chaos. A medic was summoned. After a quick examination, the medic turned to the patriarch, his face grim. "Sir, Mr. Thorne, he's been poisoned with argent, a rare neurotoxin. It's colorless and odorless. The victim shows no symptoms until it's too late. Once it activates, there's no cure." The patriarch was horrified. "When was he poisoned?" "Based on his pulse, at least half an hour ago." "Half an hour ago? We were still in our cells. Check the food. Where's the guard who brought him his meal?" The guard was brought in terrified. He swore the food was clean, but he did mention that just before the meal, Ms. Vance had sent someone to visit Julian with a flask of whiskey as a parting gift. All eyes once again fell on Claire. She was in shock. "No, it wasn't me. I didn't," she babbled incoherently. "We'll see about that," I said. I carefully collected a trace of blood from Julian's lips, then walked over to Claire. Before anyone could react, I took out a small pin, pricked her finger, and let a drop of her blood fall into a white porcelain bowl with Julian's. It was a symbiotic DNA tracer I bought from the systems marketplace. As long as the host of the master agent and the host of the sub-agent had their blood mixed, a reaction would occur. I had laced the parting whiskey with the sub-agent. In the bowl, the 2 drops of blood merged, instantly turning a sickening black and emitting wisps of dark smoke, some kind of biochemical agent. One of the older officials cried out. The evidence was undeniable. Claire had no defense. She couldn't understand how this had happened when she knew she hadn't poisoned him. She never could have guessed that I had a system that could procure impossible things. She certainly couldn't have guessed that Julian's dramatic spew of blood wasn't from poison, but from him biting the inside of his own cheek. It was all a show, a perfectly executed trap. Claire Vance. The patriarch roared, his voice shaking with fury. "You venomous snake! First you frame my son, and now you try to murder him to cover your tracks. Guards! Take this woman away." Claire collapsed, her face a mask of gray despair. She had lost utterly and completely. In the end, the case was overturned. Claire was found guilty of conspiracy and attempted murder and was sentenced to life in a maximum security prison. Her father's political career was destroyed in the ensuing scandal. As for Julian, while cleared of the main charges, he had still played a part in the scheme. The patriarch ordered him to be confined to a remote family property indefinitely to reflect on his actions. To my surprise, the patriarch was lenient with me. He ruled that I had acted under duress and had been instrumental in revealing the truth. I was released without charge and given a generous severance package. I took the money and walked away from the Thorne Empire. The day I left, Julian came to see me off. He looked at me, his expression complicated. "Leo, I really underestimated you." I just smiled. "There's no Mr. for me anymore. Just Julian." He fell silent. "What are your plans now? Travel? See the world?" I said. "What about that?" "Take it home," he asked. I shook my head. It expired. It was true. The dual reality shift voucher had expired the day after I was imprisoned. I couldn't go back. Maybe this was my fate now. Julian clapped me on the shoulder. Take care. You too. I turned and walked away, and I didn't look back. 3 months later, I opened a bar in a small town in Oregon. Business was steady. Life was quiet. One day, I was dozing behind the counter when a ragged beggar stumbled through the door. The person was filthy and smelled sour. They looked up, revealing a face that was both familiar and alien. It was Claire. I had no idea how she escaped, but looking at her now, she was in a state worse than death. When she saw me, a desperate light ignited in her dull eyes. "Leo, I knew it. I knew you were still alive." She lunged forward, trying to grab my hand. I took a step back, avoiding her touch. "Let's go home, Leo," she begged, tears streaming down her face. "I was wrong. I was so wrong. Let's go home together. Back to our world, please." I looked at her, feeling no hatred, no love, only a profound sense of peace. "Claire," I said softly, "look at me. Then look at yourself. We're not from the same world anymore." I gave her back the same words she had once said to me. She froze, and then broke into gut-wrenching sobs. I paid her no more attention, picking up a cloth and continuing to polish a glass. The sun streamed through the window, warm and bright. I suddenly felt that going home maybe wasn't that important anymore. Ding. Host has achieved a new level of enlightenment, comprehending the concept of letting go. Ultimate mission. Jailbreak completed above all expectations. Reward issued. World Admin Privileges Tier 1. New main quest initiated. Total domination. I looked at the new mission scrolling in my mind, sighed, and picked up the orange cat sleeping on the bar. "You see this? This is what happens when you do a good job. Looks like the boss is making us work overtime again." The cat meowed, rubbing its head against my chin. Outside, Claire's crying slowly faded into the distance. A new story, it seemed, was just beginning.